Welcome to the T-Pac Arcade. Today's game is Zanac for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Not to be confused with the anxiety relief medication, this 1987 shoot-'em-up from FCI and Compile is much better suited to induce stress, or at least put your heart rate on pace with the kick drum of a grindcore metal song. And that's because Zanac might just be the fastest, most frenetic twitch shooter on the NES. Or it felt that way to me, since I've got the reflexes of a starfish in a coma. But Zanac is well aware of this, and it offers a really extensive power-up system to help you deal with the chaos. The main action button fires your standard cannon, which can be upgraded by collecting yellow orbs from boxes that periodically float down the screen. But it's best to fire at these boxes from a distance, because some of them fire back at you for no good reason. Kinda like opening links in your email. Maybe you get a coupon code for a new blender, or maybe you get a computer virus. Who's to say? The other action button fires your special weapon, which corresponds to the last number item you grabbed. My go-to was number 3, since it creates a rotating shield around you to deflect bullets and damage enemies at the same time. Almost all the special weapons are worth grabbing for different use cases though, considering how many unique enemy patterns you have to contend with. For example, number 7 diagonal beams are great for taking out those half pods on the far edges of the screen, and number 6 bombs are almost always ideal to clear the whole playfield on contact, and do a ton of damage to the bosses. All the bosses in this game are stationary turret formations that shower you with a wall of standard shots, rotating bullets, missiles, and spiraling orbs. Imagine prancing around a garden with every type of flower in it, but you're allergic to all of them. That's basically a Zanac boss fight. There are a handful that break the formula though. Every once in a while you have to fight some spiky eyeball spaceship that follows you around the screen and takes a million hits to blow up. It can be annoying circling around them over and over again to get in range, but they're honestly more exciting than the turret bosses that just sit there and spit projectiles at you. The graphics in Zanac are more or less what you'd expect from a sci-fi themed shoot-'em-up, with plenty of spaceships, planet landscapes, and mechanical tunnels. And yet, there's a bit of a surrealist edge to it all. Maybe it's the neon color palette, or maybe it's because creepy eyeballs seem to be stuck in the middle of the enemy spacecraft. Either way, the disorienting speed and art direction of the whole thing caught me off guard sometimes. The sound design here can be pretty chaotic too, but it's fitting, and I kinda love it. All the bullet and explosion effects are constantly competing to be fed through the limited sound channels of the NES. Like a music class full of 8-year-olds all trying to play the recorder louder than the kid next to them. So there's never a dull moment, even when the music is more subdued. The jingles that play when you blow up a boss are really fun though, and I love how the chiptunes fade out to signal the end of a level. That's your cue to breathe a sigh of relief for those precious few seconds, then it's back into the fray. The most novel aspect of Zanac is that it actually has dynamic difficulty, which is crazy considering this is a game from the 80s. To be honest, I don't completely understand how it works, but basically, the more aggressive and successful you are as you play, the more inclined the game is to just throw in extra stuff to kill you. I imagine it's a similar experience to moving up a tax bracket. Wow, I made a lot of extra money this year. And here comes the IRS to make sure it doesn't stay that way. And speaking of difficulty, Zanac invited me to its barbecue but put me on the menu. I was already relying on turbo fire by the middle of stage 1, and I got smoked anyway. Then by stage 5, I was bookmarking each level start to keep my power-ups, and I continued to get smoked. And by the final level, I was desperately save-stating every boss encounter and burning my stockpile of lives with the same intensity that Zanac was burning me. You see, my blatant cheating ultimately got me through the game, but there was a fatal flaw to this methodology. Remember the dynamic difficulty that I mentioned earlier? Well, maintaining all my power-ups with save states made Zanac think I was actually good at the game, so it responded just the way you'd expect, to the point that whenever I found myself at max firepower, these deadly red orbs would just start accumulating by the dozen completely out of nowhere, just to make sure I'd never survive. By Zanac's logic, it was dealing with either an exceptional player who can handle the heat, or a cheater like me, whose nonsense will no longer be tolerated. Did I deserve the ensuing punishment? Yes, but I wanted to finish the game without carpal tunnel syndrome and months of fruitless grinding. So, yeah, part of the problem for me was that Zanac relies on Twitch gameplay, which is well beyond my skill set. But I think that's actually my favorite part of the game. The quick reflex aspect makes it perfect to pick up and play whenever something fast and chaotic strikes my fancy. If I could change one thing though, I'd make the special weapons more readily available. The game could definitely benefit from more options more often for the sake of variety. Overall, Zanac was a great look into the type of reflex-heavy space shooter that I typically shy away from. And considering how much fun it is, I can definitely see myself enjoying more games like it in the future. Thanks for the barbecue, Zanac. I just hope I don't leave quite so crispy next time.